Samuel Davies was a prominent voice during the Great Awakening. He was one of the best-known preachers in the colonies. His printed sermons were among the most widely read in America for 50 years after his death. He was nicknamed the Apostle of Virginia. He pastored and had a very significant influence on one of America's most prominent founding fathers. And he was the fourth president of Princeton University. He accomplished all that and much more in a very short lifespan of 37 years. Samuel Davies was born in Newcastle County, Delaware, on November 3, 1723, into a strong Welsh Baptist family. As his mother became more and more involved in the Presbyterian Church, Samuel was educated by Presbyterian preachers and teachers until, in 1746, at 22 years of age, he was licensed to preach by the Presbyterians of Newcastle. He married his wife Sarah that same year. He worked first as an evangelist, filling pulpits throughout Delaware and Pennsylvania. After he was ordained in February of 1747, he went to Hanover, Virginia, to lead a group of dissenters there. The official state church in Virginia was the Anglican Church, but some congregations around Hanover were rejecting the doctrine of the Church of England, embracing the New Light movement of the Great Awakening. Samuel Davies made an unusual move. Instead of revolting against the laws of Virginia, he obtained the required license from the state of Virginia to preach there. But then he proceeded to preach his New Light anti-Anglican beliefs. After serving in Virginia for only 1 month, Samuel became very ill, and he was forced to move back home to Delaware with his wife. 6 months later, Samuel's wife died during a miscarriage. Heartbroken and deathly sick himself, thinking he only had a short time to live, Samuel Davies gave all his remaining strength to the Lord's work. He eventually recovered from his illness, but he continued serving the Lord with the same urgency he had when he believed that death was imminent. He returned to Hanover, Virginia in May of 1747. About 1 year after Samuel's wife died, he married Jane Holt, and they had 6 children together. Samuel Davies became known as a powerful orator. His sermons were thoroughly prepared, filled with vivid illustration, dramatic emphasis, and practical application. And every sermon included a passionate appeal for the hearers to get saved. In 1748, Samuel was pastoring 7 different congregations of dissenters in 5 Virginia counties, many miles apart from one another. One of those churches was the Pole Green Church in Hanover. Attending the Pole Green Church was Isaac Winston, his daughter, Sarah Henry, and Sarah's 11-year-old son, Patrick. Every Sunday during their 4-mile carriage ride home from church, Sarah made her son Patrick preach Pastor Davies' sermon to her again. Patrick Henry would grow up to become the most prolific orator of America's founding fathers, known as the voice of the Revolution, and he credited his pastor, Samuel Davies, with teaching him what an orator should be. There are numerous historical markers in the state of Virginia commemorating the exploits of Samuel Davies. Among them, in Mechanicsville, Virginia, is a marker that reads, "Just west was Pole Green Church's 18th century glebe, a farm and residence provided for the benefit of its pastor. Pole Green was a congregation of Presbyterians dissenting from Virginia's established Church of England. The Reverend Samuel Davies, a leader of the Great Awakening in the South, was Pole Green's first pastor. A powerful orator, he gained converts, founded churches, defended the rights of dissenters, and influenced the oratorical style of Patrick Henry." Similar monuments mark the sites of the Byrd Presbyterian Church in Goochland, Virginia, and the Cub Creek Presbyterian Church in Charlotte County. Listen to these excerpts from Samuel Davies' sermon, "The Sufferings of Christ." "You may find those that will give a great many things for the deliverance of a friend, but who would give his soul for his enemies? This is the peculiar commendation of the love of Jesus. All the united forces of earth and hell could not have touched Jesus' life had he not consented. As with one word he spoke them into being, so with a word he could have blasted all their powers, or remanded them into nothing as he found them. Christ's offering for sin is of divine appointment, and therefore you may safely venture your eternal all upon it. In 1753, Samuel Davies traveled to Great Britain with a fellow Presbyterian preacher named Gilbert Tennant. They spent nearly a year there, preaching and raising funds for the College of New Jersey. The college had been established just 7 years earlier to train young people to serve the Lord. It would later become Princeton University. In 1758, the college's third president, Jonathan Edwards, died just 1 month after becoming president. Samuel Davies was asked to be the college's fourth president, and though he initially declined, he finally took the position in July of 1759. Samuel Davies died of pneumonia on February 4th, 1761, at 37 years of age. He's buried at Princeton Cemetery, right next to Jonathan Edwards. Christian, let your service for the Lord be carried out with a sense of urgency. Stay the course.